Hello and welcome to another Wilderness Tamed gardening video. Going to be looking at netting a pond. Now I mean protecting a pond with a net over the top of it, not dredging stuff out with a net. The reason for this being, as you probably know from previous videos, I do like to go on a bit about reducing the amount of organic matter that gets into a pond, which reduces gas build-up during the winter months as the vegetation decomposes. So putting a net over the top stops the majority of your autumn leaves from falling into the pond. Also keeps predators out, so if you've got amphibians in there or fish, it'll deter cats, herons and otters from attempting to extract your valuable koi or your amazing native amphibians. And it also saves you a lot of work, because dredging rotting leaves out the bottom of a pond is A, not very pleasant, it's B, hard work, and it just creates a load of disturbance in the pond. So we need to kind of make, the whole point of these videos is to show you how to make life easy for yourself, because like me, you're probably quite lazy, as most people are. Materials wise, I've bought a 25-metre loop of plumbers pipe, flexible 15mm pipe with matching connectors, sort of push fit plumbing connectors, and they form the framework to which you would then attach the net. You can buy whatever kind of net. There's specific fish pond netting, fruit cage netting, be it whatever you want to use. I've gone for a black net which doesn't show up so much. Saying that, the pipe is white, so it sticks out like a sore thumb. Might paint the pipe, you never know. And cable ties to clip the net in place around the tubing of the pipework. Now you can buy the pipe in straight 3-metre lengths, at least that's, it's available that way in the UK. But 3 metres is actually, when you're talking about the circumference of a garden pond, it's not great, it's not that much. So you may need to buy more than 1 or 2 straight lengths at 3 metres, and again with the connectors, clip a few together, form sort of a loop around the pond. If you have a very formal pond, which is like a square or an oblong, so it has right angles, then you can't get right angle push fit connectors, so then straight lengths of pipe would be ideal to buy in that circumstance. So when you get to the corner, clip a little right angle connector on, and then you're set for the next bit of pipe. The problem I'm having with this 25-metre coil is it doesn't want to straighten out. So it tends to kink and jump around a bit when I'm trying to lay it out to put the net on. I've got one half done that I did yesterday, and it's on the smallest of the 3 ponds that is sort of up against the decking. And what I've done is, rather than make a loop or a hoop of piping around the pond, because it's against the deck, there's one edge is flat, I've actually drilled 2 holes into the decking with a 16mm hole borer on my drill. The pipe is 15mm, so that pops nice and neatly into there. So I've created a kind of a horse. So if that's the edge of the deck, it's kind of a horseshoe. You'll see it in a moment. And I'll do the same on the pond with the bridge over. I'll actually drill into either side of the bridge and just form this sort of D-shaped hoops with the pipe work, and then put the net over. It is a bit fiddly, and the problem with the it's because the netting is sort of constructed with kind of diagonal gaps in it. Had it been dead straight on, it would probably stretch out really nicely because it's slightly diagonal and it opens like a trellis or a concertina. It means you sort of pull one end into the corner, get it nice and tight, and you go to straighten out the other end, get that nice and tight. Then you go to the opposite corner and pull that tight, and then this corner pulls in, and it's a bit of a faff, to be honest. Possibly I should have looked for a square bounded, square woven net. Might have helped. But yeah, so there's one half done. I'll get that finished, and then I'll bring you on board and film me doing the next one, which could be amusing, hopefully informative, like all my other videos. I'm sure you'll learn a lot, and it might inspire you. I mean, I've come across ponds where people have made their own sort of net and covering for the ponds, and they've used great heavy lengths of timber or metal tubing, wire mesh netting, and it takes like 3 or 4 people to manoeuvre these things into place. You know, they're sort of feats of engineering. My idea with this is to show you something that's easy to make and lightweight. And once you've got it made, you can then take it off easily and hang it up in a shed or a garage or on a fence out the way, and just keep it for use the following autumn before the leaves fall. Admittedly, I'm filming this as about the 23rd, 24th of November or something, so there's not really any leaves left to fall. But I mean, luckily my garden isn't overlooked by a vast amount of trees, but at least I'll have these ready for next year. The materials I've used, so materials and tools, as I said, the pipe work, the connectors, the net and cable ties. Tools wise, a hacksaw for cutting the tubing, scissors for cutting the net, and a drill. If, like me, you've got timber work that you can connect the pipe work to, you need a drill to make a hole to slot the pipes into. Anyway, let's get on with looking at putting nets over ponds. Welcome back. So I hope you found that informative and useful as much as anything, and it inspires you to go out and protect your own pond against leaves and save yourself some time and effort in the future, having to dredge out leaves and stuff. Obviously you've still got to cut down the sort of pond vegetation, the marginals and emergent plants, so that you can get the net on. It's unfortunate some people do tend to leave nets on right through the year because they have a problem with predators, mainly heron here in the UK, coming and feeding on their frogs and newts or fish if they have them. Which means there's a net over the pond all the time, and to be honest it just looks awful, and it's a bit of an obstruction for your emergent and marginal plants, as they will push their way up through the net, which is fine, until it comes to autumn when you've got to cut them down and sort of tidy up the pond. Becomes a bit of a faff. But if you want to preserve your valuable pond life, then there might not be much alternative to doing that, unfortunately. But I've cut down all the plant work around the edges of the ponds and from inside the pond, so there's nothing that's going to sprout up through the net. At the ends of the one that's in place at the moment, I've used some tent pegs just to keep it down so it doesn't blow away. But at the end near the decking, those holes in the deck are quite high up off the surface of the pond, and that's to allow access for small mammals, amphibians and small birds that want to come and have a bit of a splash and a drink. And again, around the larger pond, which is the one that attracts most of the wildlife at the moment, I have the tubing and the net held off the ground a few centimetres, again just to allow access for stuff. But those nets are going to come off in sort of mid-February. There's virtually no chance of any leaves falling in at that time. But it means that amphibians that are returning to the ponds get easy access, because there's nothing more distressing than coming out in the morning and finding there's half a dozen frogs have got really, really tangled up in the net as they've tried to return to the ponds. So this is an easy, lightweight way of netting the pond, being able to remove it when you need to allow access for whatever wants to get in and out of the pond. Yeah, I think that covers it. So once again, thank you for watching. Do all the YouTubey, subscribey and ding the donger thing for notifications, etc. And have fun in your garden. Try and relax in the garden as well. That's what these videos are all about. It's showing you how to reduce the amount of effort that goes into maintaining the garden, really. So trawl through the rest of the video library and pick some tips and hints. Happy gardening.